It's regarded as one of the most dangerous roads of the world, La Carretera de la Muerte, the Road of Death. Year after year, many people die here.
Y cuídanos del mar.
Some go looking for adventure. Others depend on this road. For all of them, it's a risky ride. South America. Bolivia. Starting in Ixyamas, situated in the tropical lowlands, the road leads 500 kilometers up to the plateau of the Andes at almost 5,000 meters altitude. The destination is the megacity of La Paz. At the peak of the route, La Cumbra Pass, spiritual healers evoke La Pachamama, Mother Earth. Their shamanic powers are supposed to cast out negative, harmful energy. The shamans sacrifice their offerings to Pachamama. People are supposed to remember what they are doing to Mother Earth. Roads carve themselves into the soil like scars. The priests beg for forgiveness also for those driving on these roads. They want to protect them from accidents and harm. Omar Perea has been working as a truck driver for more than 20 years now. There is hardly a single road in Bolivia that he hasn't traveled. The road to La Paz is his home route. He transports timber from the jungle. His load weighs 25 tons. Without any incidents, the journey takes him 3 days. It's still his dry season at the end of October, so the road is quite dusty. In a few weeks, it'll start raining. The road will be drowned in mud and morass, and there is hardly any kind of movement possible. But for now, the drivers are fighting the stifling heat and the dusty air. Omar is driving quite fast. He's using the opportunity to make kilometers. His co-driver hardly knows the road. He wants to learn about its pitfalls from Omar.
There are dangers everywhere. You must not make mistakes. The truck could break down. There is a lot to be sorry about.
When you're on the road, anything can happen.
The truck is stuck. The wheels are spinning.
It's deep, really deep. Put it in there. In there. I have to see for myself.
Jaime is looking for holes in the ground and fills them up with stones.
On the other side, it's deep too. Put these leaves underneath.
The palm leaves supply the necessary grip. Only Omar's skill and the full force of the engine can help to get the vehicle out.
It rained in the morning. The road is muddy. The rain has made it worse. The wheels and the shaft have sunk in. That's why the truck wouldn't move. It was as if someone pulled the brakes.
Omar has to be especially careful with river courses. If water penetrated the engine, it would destroy it. The trip would be over before it even started. Only few roads that are passable for trucks lead through this sheer, endless jungle. The humidity of the tropical rainforest evaporates in misty clouds from the thicket. The truck feels its way through the wall of fog, only a few meters of visibility. A collision with an approaching vehicle would be fatal.
Jaime, there's always fog here. Always. You have to pay attention, you could get lost. We're losing a lot of time. We have to drive slow. We can't see a thing.
Nabaki lies on the banks of the Rio Beni, on the inflows of the Amazon River. Trucks are waiting to cross the river here. The ferry consists of a simple wooden pontoon. The pontonero instructs the truck drivers. The crossing takes half an hour, and only 2 trucks can go on at a time. Ferryman Guanera Arias is responsible for bringing trucks and people to the other side safely. He's been shipping the Rio Beni for many years now. He also knows when operations should come to a halt.
This river needs a certain level. You can't always cross. At high tide, the current will carry flotsam, wood and junk and everything that destroys the engines of the boats.
As soon as the ferry lands on the bank, Guanera Arias must anchor it tightly. Iron chains will make sure the pontoon doesn't break loose when the trucks embark. The ramp consists of only 2 logs. They have to carry the weight of many tons. It takes expertise and good judgment to position them properly. By now, Oma has arrived at the ferry. Now it's all about steering the truck across the ramp.
We'll have to be very careful soon when the truck drives onto the pontoon. It has to be driven slowly, very slowly. If he doesn't do it right, there'll be an accident, and that's bad for all of us. Then we have a problem.
One has to learn to drive onto the pontoon. You always have to shift to the so-called crama gear. That's the right combination of braking and driving so as not to push the pontoon away.
Omar and the pontonero have known each other for many years. During the ferry ride, they start chatting. A truck has slipped from the pontoon just this morning. It was tedious work to pull it back out.
The drivers always make the same mistake.
It's slippery.
That's exactly what happened.
The log you drive on moves just a tiny bit. There's a small margin with the gears. It's horrible.
It's worse when the rear wheel spins in the other direction. That's how it slips. That's the problem.
Just around the corner from where the trucks are crossing the Rio Beni, fishermen are hunting for the biggest freshwater fish of the world. Antonio Limachi and Alfonso Carvajal are focusing on the tasty giant catfish.
Where do we throw our net? Where? Here?
Because the dry period lasts longer, the Rio Beni carries less water. One of the reasons why the fishermen catch less. But soon, the fisherman's luck is on their side.
A nice surubí. Today it's difficult. The water level should be higher. But it's low because this year it's been so dry, unlike last year. Once you'd thrown in the net, you'd have caught 4 or 5 up to 10 fish. Now it's still too dry.
Omar has long left the river behind. His path leads him across gravel roads from the lowlands to higher regions. The road is winding from the humid tropical lowlands to the dry high plateau of the Andes. The road is mostly unpaved, and it leads through the breathtaking landscapes of the Yungas. The drivers have to overcome deep valleys and vast canyons on their way. It's left-hand driving on the Yungas Road. The ascending vehicles should not stop, otherwise they'd get stuck. Omar has to fully concentrate. His truck just about fits between the cliff and the canyon. One driving mistake would be enough to make him fall into the canyon. The brim of the road is unpaved, no guardrails at all. And what happens if Omar faces an approaching vehicle? Backward driving is too dangerous. There are only few passing places. Between hope and fear, look out and off you go.
It's a very dangerous spot. Many people have died here. It goes down 150 meters. We wouldn't live to tell the tale. We have to be very careful.
The truck meanders through the canyon. The road was wrested from the rock using dynamite. Along the road, there are countless roadworks. It's being broadened wherever you look. The construction vehicles scratch meter after meter from the soil. It's all about the trucks reaching their destinations faster and safer. Even though rich in natural resources, Bolivia still is one of the poorest countries in Latin America. The expansion of the road networks and an improved infrastructure is supposed to help change that. Because of the roadworks, whole sections of the road are being blocked for many hours during the day. As soon as the road is clear, a true car rally begins. Everyone tries to make up for the time lost. That's when many lethal accidents occur. Whoever doesn't own a car and has to cover long distances must rely on buses. They are comfortable but not less dangerous. Many a bus driver risks the passengers' lives with overtaking maneuvers.
There are people who are afraid. They come from Cajamba, from Santa Cruz. People who don't know how to drive or come here for the first time. They are afraid. But not me. I enjoy this.
We pray to God to reach our destination. My family is worried. If someone from my family travels, I also worry until they've returned home safely.
Fascination and fear are closely related for most passengers. They enjoy the unique view of the spectacular canyons, but often they are only centimeters away from the abyss. It goes down 100 meters or more. For whoever suffers from fear of heights, this tour will become a nightmare, even without an accident.
¡Qué calor!
It's so hot. Let's go, Jaime. Let's have lunch.
Tengo hambre. Mucha hambre.
What's for lunch, Donna? It's so hot, Jaime. What are we having?
A full-course menu.
I'm starving, and I need a drink. Something refreshing.
We have juice and sparkling water.
They are having the usual regional dish, with a soup as a starter. Oma and Jaime have an appointment with Jaime's brother. He's got a special mission for them. The two are meant to bring Monchito, a little monkey, to a friend in La Paz.
The monkey's coming along?
It's not the first time he's going there.
I don't think he's gonna like it.
I hope he doesn't freeze to death.
But he has to help us if the truck breaks down, or else we'll run him over. Okay, we'll take him along.
But Monchito likes the trip, and Oma and Jaime can finally relax for a bit. But the ease of life as a truck driver doesn't last for long.
Jaime, I think we have a flat tire.
One of the overused tires has peeled itself when it was stuck in the mud. Obviously, the rubber mantle was destroyed by the spinning.
It's the tire. Damn, a piece got torn off. No rubber left. You can even see the thread. A piece is missing. We need to change the tire.
Luckily, the nearest garage isn't far off. Oma has the tire changed in the village of Cincuentaidos. The repair works are time-consuming, but Oma has allowed for minor incidents. He uses the opportunity to relax. A few coca leaves have their part in it. They keep him awake and happy.
I'm taking precautions. Otherwise, this might later cost us 2 to 3 hours. Now I only lose half an hour. That's much better. But I don't stress myself out. I even have some coca leaves to calm me down and to rest, since the trip will be tiring.
The farmers in the Yungas harvest the coca leaves just like tea or tomatoes are harvested elsewhere. Albertina Mamani and her husband Valerio are two of the thousands of legal cocaleros. The coca farmers don't regard coca as the basis for cocaine, but as a holy plant, which already the Incas knew and which has a therapeutic effect.
Sometimes we're hungry, and the leaves of the coca help us get over it. We'll hold out till lunchtime. Almost everyone here in the Yungas chews coca.
We didn't have the money to send our kids to school. We didn't go either. There was no money. Coca used to be so cheap. A pound for 1 Boliviano. Nowadays we get 30, 35, or even 40 Bolivianos per pound.
The value of the coca leaves that Albertina dries and prepares for transport has increased considerably in Bolivia over the past few years. The growing of coca is supported from highest-ranking political officials. President Evo Morales, an ex-coca farmer himself, propagates coca as an economic commodity of the same value as coffee and other fruit. He wants coca to be internationally recognized and not demonized as a drug. Albertina and Valerio make relatively good money with the coca plant. About 2,500 euros a year. They bring the sacks to La Paz, where the coca leaves from their region are especially appreciated. Omar and Jaime have found a place to sleep by the roadside.
Jaime, we need to get some sleep. We have to get up early tomorrow to continue on. When we arrive, we still have to unload the logs. See you tomorrow. I'll dream of angels.
The Altiplano, a high plateau in western Bolivia, is bordering on the Yungas. Llamas are grazing on the meager fields. There are only few paths leading through this area. 1,000 years ago, the Incas used to live here on the Altiplano. Today, it's easiest to visit their paths and cult sites on a motocross bike. Fernando Jordan is following the old paths, accompanied by his friend Mauricio del Solar. They both share the passion for nature, culture, and motorbikes.
You know this is part of the old Inca routes, this whole area.
They set off from here.
Yes, they walked across these mountains and found gold over there.
It's not the first time that Mauricio and Fernando explore the area. They are familiar here. None of the two would set off on a trip like this on his own. That would be too risky.
Heavy rainfall over there.
But we still have to go across here.
Let's search for a different route. We go there and then we'll turn off there. I hope it doesn't rain as much over there.
Yes, look, there are clouds over there and the wind is blowing them in this direction.
We have to hurry.
The roads are very dangerous and there's no help in sight. If something happened, it would take us hours to find help. That's very dangerous because something could happen anytime. To have a motorcycle accident would be a bad idea.
That's why a helmet, protective clothing, and a well-oiled bike are essential. The higher up the bikers get, the thinner the air gets. They ride their bikes even above 5,000 meters of altitude. There is an icy wind coming from the mountains. And on top of the wind and the cold, there are wild llamas as additional obstacles.
La verdad que descubrimos cada día una cosa nueva.
We come across new things every day, and that's what I love about this country. To still find new things we can share.
Por descubrir y compartir.
Es muy especial para mí estar aquí.
For me, being here is something very special.
Hace 500 años,
500 years ago, our ancestors walked these same paths to find gold for their jewelry.
Y estar en estos mismos lugares y ver
Driving my motorbike here amidst the llama trails, I feel the energy of this place.
Hay mucha energía.
Omar valiantly continues his roller coaster ride. At a clear road section, he sees sacks and bags at the roadside. His assumption quickly becomes horrible certainty.
¿Qué ha pasado, Jaime?
What happened, Jaime?
Qué pena.
I'm so sorry.
¿Qué es lo que ha pasado?
Whatever happened
¿Alguien ha
here?
visto?
Has someone seen anything?
Entrado.
Did this happen last night? Has someone died? Were there two people? Is the driver dead?
El chofer murió.
The driver's alive.
Un pasajero murió.
They're saying the co-driver is dead.
Esto
I'm sorry.
ha pasado por
It happened
dar
because he had
paso
to let an
porque ha
approaching
obligado
car pass and he came too close to the edge.
no ha cedido, pues,
The
Jaime.
road broke off. You have to be so careful with that.
Tener mucho cuidado.
One has to drive carefully and stay awake. If you're tired, it's better to stop and rest. Some drivers are very tired, but they drive on and fall asleep. That's when this sort of thing happens. It was the driver's mistake.
Caminos peligrosos.
You can make mistakes on this road, but this wasn't one. If the road breaks off and you just try to let someone pass, who's to blame? No one.
Movilidad. Pero ¿quién se hace responsable de esto? Nadie.
Lethal accidents are a common occurrence on the mountain roads in Yungas. Omar has lost friends and colleagues too. The fact that nothing has happened to him yet is surely due to his caution, but also to do with luck. His truck is Omar's home for many weeks and months of the year. All the more welcome are the short breaks in which he can refresh himself.
Tie up the monkey over there so you get some fresh air.
Even if Mochito complains about being left on his own for a little while, a short break outside the driver's cabin will do him good too. For Omar and Jaime, the crystal clear mountain water is better than any shower or bath in a hotel room. They get to wash themselves for the first time in 1.5 days, and they wash thoroughly.
Después de un día cansador, que uno
After a very exhausting day, you are knackered.
concentrada en el camino.
You had to keep focused the whole time.
Gracias que pasa en el camino. Tomarse un baño.
After having seen this accident, the best, most relaxing and most beautiful thing to do is to have a good wash.
Más rico porque ya estoy refrescado.
Now I'm ready to go back on the road.
Kilo de
It feels as if I washed off kilos of dust.
polvo, claro,
That's great.
está lindo.
Isn't it, Jaime?
No, Jaime.
Omar leads the life of a trucker. And as you would expect from a captain of the roads, he has a different girl in every town.
Y al conocer uno también, en el trayecto del camino vas conociendo.
You get to know new people.
Más mujeres.
New attractive women if you're on the road.
De
Not only in this country, but also in others.
otro país. Bueno, la verdad tengo dos mujeres.
Truth is, I have 2 wives.
Tengo dos hijos en la última.
With the first one, I have 2 children, and one with the second one.
A veces la
There
pasamos
are some
mal,
difficult moments.
no nos podemos
I've only got one pair of hands, you know.
compartir.
Omar stops in Coroico to meet his second wife, Veronica. He only sees her a couple of weeks. She knows about the situation she's in.
Yes, I am jealous. I've traveled with him and seen many things. Beautiful women talking to him. They come, smile at him, and talk to him. Yes, I'm very jealous.
At All Hallows, people commemorate the dead at the cemetery of Coroico. The family has come to put down flowers at the graves and to commemorate the dead. Omar also uses the short stopover to decorate Veronica's father's grave and pray together with Veronica and their son.
Se llama Bonifacio Pinedo. Un abuelo también es. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Amén.
Entonces siempre estamos en contacto con las almas.
We are in touch with the souls, and I always pray, not only here, but also if I'm on the road, so they'll accompany us and keep an eye on us.
All Hallows is a very jolly celebration in Bolivia. Even marching bands play at the gravesides. The tomb slab serves as a table, so if in fact the deceased actually want to join the celebration, food and a table are provided for. Figurines made of bread, sweets, fruit, and alcohol are available too. Children and adults go from grave to grave and pray for those whose names are being called out by their relatives. They, in return, are rewarded with the gifts on the graves. For Omar, it goes without saying that he too visits the graves of strangers and prays for them. That's the custom. The celebration goes on until nightfall, but Omar has to get a move on. The passage that brought about the road's byname, Road to Death, is still to come. The Carretera de la Muerte leads from Coruico 65 kilometers across almost all Bolivian climate zones. It surmounts 3,000 meters of altitude. Within a short time, the weather changes. Rain clouds appear from the depth and turn the often only 3-meter wide road into a dangerous track. Little rivulets turn into torrents. Water is coming from everywhere. The ride turns into a skidding slide.
I'm not afraid, but I don't trust the road. In this rain, the road is wet and sodden. It can break off at any moment. There could be rockfall. If another car approaches, it may well get too narrow, and we won't be able to pass each other.
Up until a few years ago, the road was seen as the most dangerous in the world. Each month, cars would fall down. There would be many deaths and injuries. For a few years now, there is a bypass, but still Omar takes the Carretera de la Muerte because it is shorter and saves gasoline and time.
Welcome to the Road of Death, my friends. I like the section best. It takes about 2 hours to drive it. You should be extra careful. There are huge rocks and potholes. 90% of the accidents occur in the curves, so slow down when you get there.
What truck drivers consider to be work is pure love of adventure for the mountain bikers. Many agencies have discovered the Carretera de la Muerte as a tourist attraction. With guides to accompany the tourists, they sell the ride into the depths of the mountains as a special experience. The Road to Death is considered to be one of the main tourist attractions in Bolivia. It leads downhill all the way. Even so, the cyclists must concentrate hard as to not let the tour end in a free fall.
Okay, chicos.
A few photos are being taken for the family album, or rather, the online friends across the globe.
It's been one of my dreams ever since I came to Bolivia to ride the Yungas Road. In the beginning, I didn't dare, but was full of adrenaline, and so I just do it now. It's great fun.
The kick you get out of riding down, once you realize you could fall down 1,500 meters, is incredible. This feeling when you're riding close to the edge, it's like flying. It's impossible to explain.
Omar has almost made it. He must never lose his concentration or get careless. The road is unpredictable to the very end. The weather has improved, but the road surface still is sodden and spongy. Then, finally, Omar leaves the dirt road and reaches the final section of his route. From here onwards, the last kilometers to La Paz are paved.
The first thing I do is to thank God for sparing my life. I beg Him to grant us a safe passage, to help us stay concentrated, have no accidents, and make no mistakes.
The Royal Cordilleras accompany Omar to the peak of his journey. Omar makes a short stop at La Cumbra Pass in 4,650 meters of altitude. In the freezing cold, he commemorates the dead whose lives this road has claimed. He thanks Pachamama, Mother Earth, for sparing him so far and prays for mercy and his family's well-being.
Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas como también nosotros perdonamos a los que nos...
La Paz, the journey's destination. It's the highest megacity of the world. Its houses are built at an altitude between 3,200 and 4,100 meters. Omar has to go to the opposite part of the city. His client is already waiting for the logs there. In the meantime, Jaime is taking Monchito to his brother's girlfriend, where he is eagerly expected. After having mastered all the adversities that the road to death holds, one last challenge is awaiting him.
Driving through the city is the most exhausting part of the trip. There are many small cars, the streets are narrow. The cabs just stop wherever they want, and minivans too. That makes me angry.
The ride ends in Al Alto, outside the city gates. This is where the lumberyard is. Omar has fulfilled his duty. He delivered the logs safely and on time.
The goods have been delivered to their owner. He's happy and so am I. I already need to start thinking about the next tour. I have to see where I can find a new load and then drive back. But it feels like a victory to me. I did it.